Hey, what's up, everyone? Jamie here from CLA, Community Learning Alternatives, and it's Motivation Monday, where we feature guidance, insight, and information on personal productivity, self development, and everyday positivity. Mondays don't have to suck, they're an opportunity to start fresh and get things done. Let's start off today with some advice about working from home. So, when you work from home, you work near all of your favorite distractions: your computer, your game console, family, favorite snacks, and more. Plus, home just often doesn't feel like a good work spot. It can be hard to get started. But what if you have to work from home, as many of us do right now? In this video, Thomas Frank shares a process that will help you stop procrastinating, pick a task, and stay focused on it.
Okay, so I've heard this a lot lately. It is way harder to stay focused when you're working at home versus your office or a coffee shop or wherever it is that you normally work. The lack of separation between your work and your personal life, not to mention lots of additional distractions floating around, means that your home is kind of like the final boss of difficult workspaces. Well, no, that would probably be a Chuck E. Cheese, actually. But still, today I want to talk about how you can actually stay focused on your work, not to mention get started on it in the first place when you're working from home. And first, we need to talk about intentionality. Potentially the most useful thing you can do when you sit down to work is to set a strong intention first. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you can think back to a time when you sat down and instead of working intentionally, you found yourself bouncing between mostly useless busy work tasks. Things like answering your email or checking your credit score.
How is this even possible?
These tasks are easy and they give you an immediate feeling of accomplishment, so they're tempting to work on, but they also cause you to procrastinate on the work that you really should be doing, the work that's truly meaningful to you. So really, they often end up being a net negative, and setting a strong intention before you work helps you to avoid them, at least until the real work is done. Now, one useful way of setting intentions is to follow the rule of 3. This is a concept from Chris Bailey's book, The Productivity Project, and it's really simple. When you're writing out your daily plan, choose no more than 3 meaningful tasks that you intend to get done. And if you write your daily list on a whiteboard like I do, then you might want to tweak how you use it by writing these 3 intentions at the top and then listing any smaller tasks below them in a deprioritized way. Don't worry about those until you get the main intentions taken care of. Then, when it's time to sit down for a session of focused work, look at your list and choose just one item to work on. Really mentally commit to devoting this working session only to that item. And just like that, you now have a strong intention that will help to guide you and keep you on task. Or at least you would if you happen to be sitting in an empty room in like a monastery with no phone or internet access or anything else to distract you. But since you're at home, I would wager that your environment is absolutely teeming with distractions. And if your intentions are going to be translated into action, then these need to be dealt with. There's just no getting around it. And that has to deal with how your brain is wired.
The human brain has evolved over millions of years to be a highly sensitive instrument, ever attentive to the small changes in a constantly shifting and often dangerous environment. And while this has enabled the very survival of our species, it has also made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move.
And that is, not least of which, because it renders us easily distracted when we're trying to do complex work, even if we set a strong intention beforehand. Because meaningful work is hard, because it requires us to really tax our higher brain functions, we are naturally resistant to doing it, and will take any excuse to fixate on something else. Additionally, our brains also have what's called a built-in novelty bias. Even when we're not resisting difficult tasks, we are drawn to new things, kind of like flies to a light bulb. An analogy can be found in an observation that I made back when I was in middle school. See, when I was a student, I used to carry a pack of chewing gum in my pocket for myself. And anytime that I would get a piece of gum out, again, for myself, any one of my classmates who saw the pack of gum come out of my pocket would stop what they were doing and instantly become a mooch.
I will literally die if you do not give me a piece of that right now.
And saying the word no to any of these classmates was like hitting them in the face with a brick. The wounded looks in their eyes told me that in denying them that stick of Big Red, I had ripped apart their dreams, torn their hopes to ribbons, and extinguished every spark of happiness and joy that had kept them pushing forward in this cruel, cruel world thus far. And yet, seconds before this exchange would happen, not one of those classmates was thinking about chewing gum. Hadn't even crossed their mind. And this is how our brains work. We have this novelty bias, but of course, a novel object has to be brought to our attention for it to be engaged. Out of sight, out of mind. It's why marketers and advertisers talk so much about the AIDA framework: attention, interest, desire, and action. It's the order of operations that governs most of the actions we take, including the ones that lead us to indulging in distractions. Also, if you don't chew Big Red, then fortunately, you can use this knowledge of human psychology to your advantage. If you know that being merely exposed to a potential distraction is going to put you aboard the Beta Express on a one-way journey to wasting the rest of the day and looking at more cat pictures than you probably need to, then all you need to do is ensure that you aren't exposed in the first place. In other words, remove any potential distractions before you start working. Dealing with them ahead of time is infinitely easier than trying to fight them in the moment.
I swear I'm just getting footage to make this point more visual.
6 hours later.
Now, you're not always going to be able to do this. Chris Bailey's book Hyperfocus breaks distractions down into 4 different categories based on whether or not you have control over them and whether you find them fun or annoying. And those that you have no control over, like loud colleagues, construction noises, or calls from your mom, are hard to plan for ahead of time. The best you can do is to deal with them while keeping your original intention in mind and then get back on track as quickly as possible. But the distractions that you can control can also be dealt with in advance. And let's start with your phone because it's probably the worst offender. Now, in the past, I have been a bit soft on phones. Put it on Do Not Disturb, I said. Use features like focus mode on Android or screen time on iOS to simply limit the time when you can access distracting apps. But you know what? I think it's time to get a little bit tougher. If you don't need your phone for your work, and let's face it, you probably don't, then keep it out of arm's reach. Personally, I've been setting my phone to Do Not Disturb mode for most of the day and also putting it on the printer at the other side of my office, so again, it's out of arm's reach. I also have it set so my favorite contacts can get through Do Not Disturb, so my phone does actually work as a phone, but everyone else gets silenced along with all app notifications. Your computer is also a huge potential distraction, and that is mostly due to the fact that it's connected to the internet. And if that's a particularly big problem for you, then you might want to actually disconnect it when you don't need it, either by disabling your Wi-Fi or by actually unplugging the Ethernet cable. Barring that, there is one rule that I highly recommend you follow. Don't keep email or any instant messaging apps like Slack or Telegram or whatever, Microsoft Teams, whatever it is, don't keep any of these open while you work. These are constant sources of novelty, so they are distracting by nature, but they also come with the additional social pressure that you feel to respond to a message when it comes in. Personally, I'm part of several different Slack groups, and over the past few months, I've gotten into the bad habit of keeping them open while I was working. And I realized that I would sometimes spend entire work days just chatting with people. So now I only check Slack and email at specific times of the day, and I respond to everything in batches. Ask yourself if there are any other potential sources of distraction that are particular pain points for you that you should address. Like maybe your game consoles are a temptation. Well, if that's the case, put the power cord in another room until you're done with your work. Make it inconvenient to access them so you don't do it impulsively. I'd also recommend keeping a distraction journal nearby. And whenever something pulls you away from your work, make a note of what it was and why it pulls you away so you can figure out how to eliminate it in advance the next time you sit down. Now, once you've taken care of all those distractions, the last thing you need to figure out how to do is to get rid of the resistance you feel towards starting. And this is serious. Mental resistance towards difficult tasks is a big issue. For just one example, there was once a study done on people who felt high levels of anxiety towards doing math. And the study found that the mere anticipation of having to do math caused increased brain activity in some specific regions of the brain, namely those that deal with threat detection and even physical pain. And what this illustrates is that certain parts of our brain view difficult, mentally taxing tasks in the same way they would view touching a hot stove burner. Fortunately, this aversion that you feel towards difficult tasks really only affects you at the beginning. Once you get into it, you build up momentum that overcomes that resistance. So all you need to do is to reduce your resistance enough to get started. And you do this by making the task feel less daunting. Now, the first method for doing that is to break down your tasks. In other words, narrow the scope of your intention. Earlier on in the video, we talked about setting an intention by choosing one of the 3 meaningful tasks on your daily plan. But if those tasks feel too big, then simply break one down into smaller chunks. That way, you can pick one of those chunks and set it as your intention instead. For example, when I sit down to write, I never set my intention as write a video script. Instead, I create multiple subheadings based on an outline, and then I sit down with the intention of writing a draft of just a single section. Now, if I push forward into more sections during that writing session, great, but that is not my intention when I'm starting out. Secondly, commit to working only for a specific period of time, and make it low enough that you no longer feel resistance. So if 30 minutes feels like too much, then go for 15. Now, whatever time you do decide to go with, set it on a timer, or at least put it on a timer app. Using one of these tools creates a little bit of external pressure, so there's one less thing that you have to rely on your willpower, your internal self-control, to handle. So now you have all the tools and the concepts that you should need to sit down and do some focused work.
Now that you've beaten procrastination and you're ready to go, where should you begin? David Allen, a productivity expert known for his best-selling book, Getting Things Done, has a great place to start.
Hi, David Allen. 2-minute tip for turbulent times. This one's called catch up. Now, obviously in turbulent times, we're often kind of up to here with stuff to do, but you're likely to have some downtime, some time where the most productive thing to do might be to clean up the backlog. That is, to bring up the rear guard, as we say. For instance, how current is your bank balance, your investments? How sharp are your kitchen knives? How well have you fertilized your garden for the spring or the summer? What's up? What's out there that you say, I need to catch that up. I'm not totally current with whatever that's about. And that may be some of the best things you could do, is to go find something that you need to catch up on. Because, by the way, the smaller the backlog of, outdated things or things that are not current, the cleaner and clearer it is to deal with surprise and new things coming toward you. So the best thing to do right now, if you have some windows to do that, is to look around and say, what needs catching up to get current? So that's my 2-minute tip for turbulent times. Catch up.
On his Some Good News YouTube channel, or SGN for short, John Krasinski highlights some good news from around the world and brings in some familiar foodie friends for his first ever SGN potluck.
And we go now to a segment we like to call SGN Potluck. I reached out to all of you this week to send me your favorite family recipes. And in the all too familiar spirit of stealing intellectual property on this show, I actually stole your recipes for my dinner party. But being one of the least capable chefs on the planet, I really needed some help. Nana! I love that you guys already have your drinks ready to go. Cheers. Shannon from Back Bay. How's Back Bay today?
It is a little dreary out, to be honest, but it's sunshiny inside.
Penny!
Hello.
It is so nice to meet another person from Northbridge, right?
Right.
Sarah!
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. This is wild.
It is so nice to meet you. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for making your Quarantini. It was a huge hit.
Vanilla vodka. 1, 2. And now we're going to give it a shake, shake, shake.
You made one of the best drinks on the internet. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your competition for best internet drink is right here, Nana. Ladies and gentlemen, Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, but Nana, I think you win hands down.
I loved your recipe. I'm a pierogi fanatic.
Oh, me too. My mom sent me over the pierogi recipe that my great-grandma brought over from Poland.
I gotta be honest with you, Sarah, I did not cook them. But luckily, I know another Polish person who does know how to cook.
Oh my God.
Hello.
Hi.
Sarah, are you familiar with Martha Stewart? Great hat.
Thank you.
I gotta say, you have a very worldly recipe here. I don't know if you know Mr. David Chang.
Oh my goodness.
Boom! Sloppy Joes are some of my favorite, but I haven't had the dynamites before. I had a friend of mine cook them for you.
Yeah.
And he's way better at cooking than I am, so I figured you should probably just meet him. Guy Fieri, here he is.
We had a blast with your recipe.
What a pleasure to meet you, both of you, actually.
Trust me, he's cooler than me. And you know what? He knows it.
Your grandma's recipe is very similar to my mother's recipe, which is my go-to.
I made your drink. Vanilla vodka. She said 2 shots. That's 2 shots. Orange vodka. 2 shots. I won't be walking after this.
Listen, I'm excited to make the dynamites. Taking a little bit of your recipe and doing a little Guy Fieri style NorCal, so let's walk through it.
And then this is a mixture of old white cabbage. Boy, is that good. Wait till you taste those.
A couple other things I like about Shannon's recipe. She says 3/4 of a glass of dry white wine for the dish and 1 glass of red wine for the chef. More recipes need to have that.
See how nice it's coming together? Such a good dough.
There's some red bell peppers. There's some yellow onion. You want it spicy, right? Little jalapeno. Actually, a lot of jalapeno.
Shannon, this is a very, very rich dish. It looks really good. Smells really good.
And then pull the dough up until it touches, like that. But there, that's a nice plump pierogi.
Give it a shake.
Oh, my dogs are watching. She's looking, thinking I might be making something with meat. Sorry, Bitmore.
Shannon, this dish is a very special occasion kind of dish.
Oh, look at that, Penny. Here we have some beautiful sourdough bread, some local sourdough bread, and we're melted some sharp cheddar on there. Onions on top. Bring this monster over. You should see how much this weighs. Take a look at that.
Nice.
Huh?
Oh, that's perfect with the onion rings.
It's delicious. Cheers to both of you.
Yes, thank
Cheers.
you.
Cheers to both of you.
Yeah, cheers to
Look how delicious that is. Like we do it on Triple D. Penny, you rock. Hope you like the Guy Fieri Dynamite.
That is awesome. Well, now you have to make it for me, Guy. Come on, man.
I thought I made enough of it that there would be some leftovers, but if things go the way they're going now, I don't think we'll have any, by the time we get into the weekend.
Thank you. That is so good.
Yes, that's amazing.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for making that. That's so cool.
So Sarah, I hope I did your recipe proud.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I gave Martha pierogies because I'm Polish, she's Polish, having no idea that they take all day.
They were so good. We drank a lot of vodka last night in your honor.
Shannon, I'm not kidding you. My wife said it was the best thing she's eaten during quarantine.
Oh.
You heard it here first. The SGN potluck, of which I had nothing to do with, is a hit.
Thank you so much for making my entire year by doing this.
Oh, that's nice.
And also, I think for restaurants and stuff, if people buy gift cards to use at a later date, that's the biggest thing I think that could help people out, especially the local businesses. So
From your lips to God's ears, right? Let's do it.
yeah, to our mouths.
That's right. That's exactly. Well, Guy, you make every single one of us smile. So we here at SGN thought it was time that you smile. You have an incredible initiative going. And the last time I checked, you've raised about $17 million.
Just about 17 million and on our way to 100 million, I hope.
A couple friends of mine over at PepsiCo heard that we were doing this show. And I know they've already donated to you big, but they heard you were close to 20 and they said they wanted to put you over 20. So they're donating $3 million to you, my man.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am dead serious.
You've got to be kidding me. Look at the guy, dude, he's giving me goosebumps. Oh, brother, I'll tell you what, it's friends knowing friends. Wow, dude.
We need more people like you, man. And guess what? I answer the age-old question on SGN, which is, what do you get for $3 million? You get a whole lot of love from my house.
Well done on the artwork, by the way.
That's my daughter's. Mine would be so terrible looking.
You're awesome.
Dude, thank you so much, Guy. And thank you for all you do, man. Thank you for doing this show. Thanks for doing SGN. We absolutely love you, man.
Bro, I'm speechless. I'm really I'm in awe.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
That's all for this week. If you have any questions about anything we've covered during a Motivation Monday video, or have any suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment below. Check out What the Tech Wednesdays each week, and please like and subscribe. We'll be back next week for another Motivation Monday video. Thanks for watching.